So we discussed about homodyne detection of squeezed light, quadrature squeezed light, right? So this is the circuit. Basically, you need a local oscillator, and then this signal means it is actually so-called your squeezed quadrature squeezed light. And then you say there will be interference here, and E1, E2 will be there. Superposition of field E1 you can calculate. So we did express E1 and E2. Only thing is that the local oscillator, since it is a intense light, so we could consider that as classical. But since a squeezed light, that is actually relatively weak, and we can express them in quadrature, field quadrature. And then this is the E1 and this would be the E2 depending on the beam splitter. And then the current output, whatever you will be getting, that is proportional to basically, since it is I1 minus I2 in this configuration, so this would be proportional to this one. So that is directly we are putting E1 and E2 with complex conjugate. Now we discussed also the case 1. If you set this phi LO is the phase of the local oscillator with respect to your squeezed light. It is assumed that this local oscillator and it's coming from the laser, the same laser being used for generating your squeezed light. So their source is same laser. So externally we can put part of the laser you are using for local oscillator. You can introduce some phase. You can modulate. It's a modulate means it is a DC phase, just path length increase or whatever way you can have the opportunity. You can do that. So since it is a cos phi and sin phi LO, so if you set phi LO maybe 0 or pi or 2 pi, then what happens? This first part will be existing and the second part will not be, will be 0. So in this way, you can actually, whatever you get in the output, that will be proportional to so local oscillator amplitude as well as the quadrature x1 quadrature things will be there. And if it is phi LO is pi by 2 or 3 pi by 2 or whatever, then it will be, this one will be vanishing and this one. So in this way, basically I can actually see the impact of this quadrature. Okay, so x1 quadrature and x2 quadrature of your squeezed light, I can see in the impact. Now next thing is that I want to detect that this squeezed light actually squeezed, it is really squeezed or not, we would like to know. So what we have to do, okay, now situation, this how it is actually used to estimate the squeezed thing. So consider that ES is now E vacuum. That means the signal you withdraw, you switch off the signal. Okay. So if there is no signal, that means squeezed light is not there. That means we can assume that it is just a vacuum field. That means all the photons stopped. So in that mode, whatever existing, that will be your vacuum field. That is a vacuum field we have already derived earlier, right? So that a very small vacuum field will be there. So now the photodetector output will be proportional to ELO E vacuum. That means you are getting the homodyning with the vacuum field, that the vacuum things is there. So that means you're supposed to get the output, this one, which is nothing but the short noise of the local oscillator. Why is that? You know why we use for any detection, what is the purpose of using homodyne? What is your idea? Can anyone tell me? Why sometimes it is useful? Earlier we have also discussed that we have used two photo detector for certain purpose. That's called balanced photo detection and using homodyning technique. What is the reason? Can anyone tell me? You will ask Shovik. Shovik? Are you there, Shovik? Shovik is not listening. Anyone else? Ganta?
Sir,
I have a question to you. Can
yes.
you explain?
Sir, to cancel noise, I think,
Yes, cancel the noise. What
for
noise?
the same frequency.
Now,
So,
what noise you can cancel if you use this homodyne technique, and if you are just measuring I1 minus I2?
yes, sir.
That means electrical noise, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So your electronics, if some kind of noise is there, because you are dividing, and then they will be cancelling each other because they are basically correlated, right? So they can be cancelled.
Yes, sir.
But if anything coming out of your laser as a short noise, for example, Poissonian statistics is there. So in that case, you will be getting some kind of short noise, which is basically stochastic, and Poissonian distribution will be there. And that will be uncorrelated, and that will be appearing. That short noise will be there, and that is the quantum limit.
Yes,
So
sir.
that cannot be eliminated, even if it is homodyning technique is there. So that is the classical coherent source. If you measure maximum, you can come down to short noise level, which cannot be avoided by any circuit unless and until you modify your source. That is the reason that can we have some kind of source, which one we can actually get below short noise level, right? So here, whenever nothing is there, that means you are just giving your local oscillator, and you are dividing as if you are measuring the total power of a local oscillator. You are using only two photo detector 1 and photo detector 2. You are dividing them and using photo detector 1 and photo detector, and then you are just combining them, right? Combining, and if you subtract, only you are getting your classical noise can be subtracted, but the short noise, they are uncorrelated, and that will be actually coming out as a short noise. So when no signal is there, that means you will be getting this value. That is a short noise limit. Okay. Now question is, if you have a signal, squeezed signal, you are getting pi LO, you are just this thing you are having. Either when it is just switched on, your squeezed light, then you are getting this one or this one, depending on the phase, right? Now, if this quadrature field, if it is squeezed, then what happens? The value what you supposed to get in your output, that will be lower than this, because there it is squeezed. It can be x1 squeezed or x2 squeezed. In that case, your noise level, it will be lower because of the squeezing. So squeeze means your phase noise or amplitude noise. For example, it is here we are considering only phase. Phase, if it is just squeezed, then you can just get some value corresponding to that one. So because of the squeezing, actually you are actually you will be getting output which is lower than the short noise. So that's measurement of a quadrature squeezed signal is by adjusting phi LO, resulting into photodetector output below the short noise level. So if you just switching on with the signal and adjust your phase and see one of the quadrature measurement, if it is coming below short noise, that means you can say that it is a squeezed light. Okay, this is the detection. I have not yet discussed how this squeezed light will be generated. Suppose squeezed light means it is a x1, x2 quadrature wise. If somehow you can squeeze, then you can get this result output whenever you are switching. So whenever signal is there, that means your noise level will be low. And whenever there is no signal, it is just a short noise level you will be getting, just coming out of laser. Okay, so that is how homodining technique is very, very useful for detecting your quadrature squeezed light. Now, this is what very recent paper in 2019 published. I just find a very similar thing. How this quadrature squeezed light they got experimentally, it is shown here. You see, this is so-called integrated photonics on chip squeezed light, and they have detected off chip. So what is there? You have a continuous wave telecom laser. You know what is telecom laser, right? Can anyone say what is telecom laser? When we say that telecom laser, what does it mean?
It is operating on C band, sir. 1550.
Yes, it is C band. Telecom, I think O band also it is called telecom band. 1310 nanometer, that is called O band. And normally nowadays we are in the third generation communication window, that is around 1550 nanometer. So that telecom laser it is considered, say 1550 nanometer it is there. So that laser, normal semiconductor laser, the power is relatively low. So what you do, you use EDFA. EDFA means erbium doped fiber amplifier. That means the laser will be amplified. Okay, it's a fiber amplifier, and there will be some kind of power will be there, so it amplifies. And then after amplification, it use some kind of beam splitter. Here in this type of experiment, what they have used 65 and 35 because that is their availability of their power splitter probably. Okay, so then they are 35 they are taking this path and 65 they are taking this path. So majority they are taking to this path, and this is actually a nonlinear crystal where actually you are the power coming 1550, okay, or 1500, whatever, that actually because of the nonlinearity you just create second harmonics. Okay, 1550 will reduce to here it is on 780 nanometer. So that means it is a 1560 nanometer this pump. So wavelength will be half. So frequency will be doubled, right? So second harmonic, so frequency doubling it is actually. So wavelength is reduced. And then these 35 they are using as a local oscillator. As I said that this laser will be originated from the same laser will be used for local oscillator, and another half will be used for squeezed light generation. So this 780 nanometer wavelength, it is actually passed through a called waveguide. It is coupled to the waveguide. This is also coupled to the waveguide here, separate waveguide here. This is a lithium niobate crystal, and lithium niobate crystal, it is designed such that here you can have some kind of SPDC. SPDC is, we have discussed earlier. What is SPDC, you know? Anjana, can you tell what is SPDC?
Spontaneous parametric down conversion.
Exactly. So it is spontaneous parametric down conversion. So that means it is a Chi2 nonlinear process I discussed now. So one pump photon will be decomposed into two daughter photons, that is signal and idler. Okay. So here they will be actually generated. This daughter photons will be generated, and they will be that will be actually squeezed light basically, and they will be they are generating as a so-called that two daughter photons frequency will be same in this particular case. This is designed in such a way that so-called periodically poled lithium niobate they used. I'm not going into this much details. I think if you are, it is a lot of research interest is there and a lot of literature available for periodic polling things. We also did some research here in IIT Madras and elsewhere. So it will actually generate this quadrature squeezed light. Now on chip, instead of external beam splitter, you are combining this local oscillator and squeezed light with a normal integrated optical directional coupler. It is shown as IDC. So this is 50-50 beam combiner. This is the top view it is shown of this structure basically. So how is the waveguide? Normally waveguide dimension is 6 micrometer, and this is a periodically poled things where squeezing will be there and local oscillator coming here, and you are combining. So everything you are getting on chip. That means particularly the combination, combining things you are doing on chip. Also squeezing, you are also generating here. This generation, how it is happening, I will discuss little elaborately in next few classes. Then it would be clearer. So anyway, at this point of time, you assume that, okay, squeezed light is generated. Okay. And then you are combining, and this two output again, it's similar to this one. This two output, you are sending one photodetector 1, another is photodetector 2. Okay. So, and then you are combining them, so that is subtracting. And as you know, to check whether they are squeezed on, that is already squeezed or not, you have to test that. So for that, you need to change the phase of your local oscillator. So that is going through a fiber, and this fiber you are just putting on a, I think normally, you know, it's mechanically it is done. Fiber coil will be there, and you can use some kind of piezoelectric actuation so that fiber can be stretched. So if you stretch the fiber bit, then normally because of the refractive index change, etc., your path length, everything, phase will be changed. So that stretching as a function of time, you can consider they have actually set linear. So it is set that, okay, it is position, okay, it can be, may not be linear, maybe sinusoidal driving is there for stretching purpose, but you are operating in the linear portion. So as you stretch, phase will be changed. You see, x-axis is the time it is shown here. Okay. So as a function of time, that means your phase is proportional to time, you can say. Okay. Then you see, that means this phase is changing. So when, as a function of time, so as the function of time phase is changing, you know that the phase is going through 0, pi by 2, and pi, and then 3 pi by 2, then 2 pi, and so on. You see, this is the region where you are getting your noise level 0, lower noise level. And this is your short noise level, basically. You know how we can extract the noise things we have explained earlier. You can follow that thing, whatever we discussed. This short noise level is this one. Then when you are getting a certain phase, then it is minimum. That means you are setting to measure in one quadrature. One quadrature you are measuring. That is the squeezed quadrature. Normally, one quadrature, field quadrature you are squeezing means other field quadrature it will be relaxed. That is how it is done. So then you see you are increasing. Yeah.
Sir, there you use like SPDC, no? So will that photons be entangled like what we have read?
Yeah, I think here in this case, this it is not entangled at this point of thing we are discussing. It is actually they designed such that two photons, that daughter photons, they are actually degenerate, same frequency.
Okay.
Okay, and they are actually phase squeezed. Particular wavelength they are measuring, it is not entangled measurement, I would say. It is just as whether that is squeezed or not, that is what we are trying to measure. Okay, entangled I will come back again later how it is, because that is when it is you see that is what I have a plan to discuss. So whenever two photons two daughter photons, they are non-degenerate, then it is called two-mode squeezing. And when they are degenerate, then it is called single mode. That means same frequency you are getting, basically. Single mode squeezing. So I will discuss that, single mode squeezing and two mode squeezing. Particularly, we have discussed earlier, you remember this one, when we mentioned somewhere here, this one. You see, this is the two daughter photon we are considering signal and idler, right? In this fashion you are getting, that means it is a two mode squeezing. They are actually really two mode, entanglement will be there, you can measure. But here two modes are the same frequency, that's why we will be calling single mode.
Yes.
Okay. So that thing, it is found that the squeezed light generator exhibits a raw noise compression of -2 dB. You see, it is about -2 dB here. Okay. And other quadrature, it is actually squeezing, it is basically amplifying that noise, so about 2.8 dB. So one quadrature you are getting less, so that means you are actually getting a squeezed light there. It's a particular thing. It's just for testing purpose. All right. Now, next thing is that, okay, that is a quadrature squeezed light. You have to have your signal, and you need a local oscillator to get your, to measure your so-called whether it is squeezed or not. But if it is an amplitude squeezed light, so amplitude squeezed light is nothing but it is a sub-Poissonian, right? Because if you see our discussion here, here, so right, so here this is your amplitude squeezed light, right? So your phase is relaxed and amplitude squeezed. So your deviation, standard deviation will be close to sub-Poissonian, less than average n. So in that case, we can call it as a amplitude squeezed light. So for amplitude squeezed light, we have already earlier discussed that if it is a sub-Poissonian, then also this homodyning technique we have used. Same thing homodyning technique, because PD1, PD2 we are using, and we can subtract, that means classical noise will be reduced. And so whenever your signal is there, your detection here, actually you do two ways. Actually, one is I1 plus I2 and I1 minus I2. So this circuit you can a little bit modify. This circuit you can modify such that these two photodetector can be in parallel. So you can modify that. Either you can feed into I1 minus I2 or I1 plus I2. So this option is there. You can just program this thing. Okay. So in this way, actually, you can measure your input light, whether it is an amplitude squeezed or not. That is a sub-Poissonian or not. So this is the thing is that when you are just getting I1 plus I2, for example, when the minus output is selected, we again have a balanced homodyne detector like previously whatever we discussed. If you are just putting I1 minus I2, as if this is your local oscillator, it is coming, and then your vacuum field is coming. That means when you are measuring I1 minus I2, that is actually your short noise you are measuring, short noise level you are measuring. Okay, that the balanced homodyne technique with signal no input. So the output will therefore be at the short noise level, as discussed in the previous thing. But whenever we are just measuring I1 plus I2, what we are doing basically we are getting I1 here and I2 here. We are just dividing I1 and I2 and then combining. So as if we could measure your same PD1 and PD2, because when it is on, that time the photocurrent fluctuation together as if we had detected the radiation with just a single photodiode. The photon statistics are sub-Poissonian. The noise power for plus output is therefore expected to be lower than that of the noise level. So there you will be getting it is two times you can just measure I1 plus I2 to get measure, because I1 minus I2 means it is cancelled. Normally it is cancelled, and then classical things are cancelled, but short noise will be available. But whenever both are coming together, that means it is actually the detection, as if you are detecting your amplitude squeezed light, so noise level will be reduced. If it is noise level lower than the short noise level, then you can say that this is amplitude squeezed. Okay, all right. So we know how to detect quadrature squeezed and amplitude squeezed. Both are homodynamic techniques.
Sir, can you explain the last slide once again? That amplitude squeezed, how we'll understand?
So you see, it is an amplitude squeezed, right? Amplitude squeezed light. That means your short noise level will be lower, right? When it is amplitude squeezed, you don't expect any short noise, right?
Yes,
It will be reduced. Short noise
Okay.
coming from where? What is whenever we are measuring short noise, because suddenly your photon number is increased or reduced. That is what it is, your short noise, right? That's a quantum quantum of electron hole pair generation that comes randomly. That is your short noise. That is actually normally any coherent source will give you that type of short noise, and that is actually that is normally actually uncorrelated, and we can detect, always we will be getting. So whenever I am just putting, suppose I have some laser source and I am just measuring I1 minus I2. That means what I am doing, this part creating certain kind of, when your light is divided into two separately, you are detecting, even though it is a squeezed, amplitude squeezed, but you are dividing with a beam splitter, then this photodetector will create some kind of short noise. And this photodetector will be creating some kind of short noise, and they are not correlated. So when they are not correlated, their subtraction, when you are subtracting, that time you will be getting your outcome of short noise basically. Because if they are correlated, they will be cancelling each other. Since they are all the short noise coming, they are uncorrelated. So I1 minus I2 gives you actually short noise basically. Because I1, I2, they are 50-50. 50-50. Normal power is coming 50-50. But anything up and down is there. So this it will go either photodetector 1 and photodetector 2. So those are actually appearing like a short noise. Is that clear? So
Yes,
whenever I am just measuring I1 minus I2, that is nothing but you are measuring the short noise. Because you are just dividing, because they are 50-50. In principle, they are actually subtracted, right? But the short noise will be existing and they are uncorrelated, that will appear here. But whenever you are combining them together, that means as if you are measuring your light with a normal one photo detector, because they are together, it is coming I1 plus I2, and whatever things noise level, normally it is, if it is squeezed light, they will, if you add them together, they will be just as if it's a entire laser you are measuring, separately just measuring and just adding. So whatever noise level will be there, that will be measured. Since that laser source itself is squeezed, so that time whatever noise you will be getting, that is lower than the short noise. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Then now let us go to how we can generate a squeezed light. Okay, that is very important, because at least basic mechanisms, generation mechanisms, I would like to discuss a bit details, 2-3 lectures I will be continuing, and little bit of basics I will just touch upon so that you don't miss anything. As I said, that single mode, and there are two types of squeezed light you can get, single mode and two mode squeezed light. Normally, two mode squeezed light is very important for our entangled photon generation at their applications, let us try to find first, understand what is single mode, how to generate single mode squeezed light. So we little bit go back to our fundamental understanding. Let us consider X and P are the dimensionless position and momentum of any quantum particle. When I consider position and momentum, that means we consider quantum particle, right? Whenever we are discussing. And since it is dimensionless, if you just try to commute, then commuting factor is I. Normally it is I H bar. Okay. So dimensionless, you can set similar like whatever electric field we have just converted into dimensionless. No, we have just multiplied something to convert to scale it, to treat them just like a number. That's why delta x1, delta x2, it was coming like 1/4. Okay, here also you just assume this xp, it is actually giving momentum and position and momentum, and they commute to I, that we have learned earlier. Okay, the analogous to x1 and x2, that is also dimensionless. So x1 and x2, it is coming something like a different number. It is coming. Now, this vacuum state wave function in terms of dimensionless position basis given by this one. Can you recollect this equation? I think you remember when we were discussing about your quantum harmonic oscillator ground state we have solved. Remember that the ground state is actually Gaussian. If you take a very first few lectures, if you just follow the ground state, that is actually Gaussian. That is what we have. It is like a Gaussian wave function as a function of position. We can express like this, and we are just here putting as a x. Normally, you know, ikx we write e to the power ikx, and then if it is a position Gaussian and Gaussian shape. This is not k, only x dependent thing Gaussian we have considered. Whenever we are going for a higher state, that will be Hermite Gaussian, and so on it would be coming. So if it is a ground state, we can express like this. So you can relate from our understanding of quantum harmonic oscillator ground state. Okay, you can go back if you've forgotten, just check once again there. Now, if we know this is your position, we know that there is a relation between position eigenfunction to momentum eigenfunction with by Fourier transform. So if it is x is there for the position dependent wave function, then momentum dependent wave function is just a Fourier transform of this one. So if you do Fourier transform of this one, that e to the power ikx, here we are writing itx. So x to k conversion, here we are considering x to p momentum conversion. So 1 by root 2 pi, that comes because of your Fourier coefficient, etc. matching. And then this also comes similar formula. Psi naught x and psi naught p in the ground state, they are similar. Only here x and p, right? So that is how ground state. You can recollect now, just try to correlate. Remember that whenever we are considering this vacuum state of electric field, and vacuum state of electric field, when we expressed, you just try to see, I think, I don't know, far away. So, yes. So this is your vacuum state, right? It's like a circular, delta x1 and delta x2, this type of distribution is there. So there also, if I see that ground state means 0-point energy wave function, ground state. Yeah? So there also, instead of quadrature x1, x2, we have our, we are getting something like this. In momentum domain also it is Gaussian, and position domain also it is Gaussian. So you can imagine that you can plot x-axis is like x position and y-axis like a momentum. It's like a quadrature. Y-axis momentum and x-axis just simple position. Then You see, along x-axis also it is like a Gaussian centering to x equal to 0, and along y-axis that means p, also Gaussian centering at p equal to 0. So that is also you will be getting something like a spot at the XP diagram. In XP phase diagram, if you try to plot this thing, that will be like a also that type of circle, that like a x1, x2 0-point energy quadrature, something like that. Now you just see here, simple, because I have just considered this type of things. Then if you try to find out the variance of position, so variance of position means we know that position operator, if it is there, the variance of position we have defined like this, and variance in momentum we defined like this. In the I think equation number I just saw today, that equation number 48 or something like that, we have expressed there, right? Now if I just try to get this value first and this value first, so expectation value of x square, right? So this is your x, and you are taking expectation value of x square, and then expectation value of x, and then you are squaring. Same way we just do. And here also with this expression, I try to solve this one. This 0, 0 means this here, and this 0, 0 means we are considering psi 0 p here. So both cases, if we just solve, you can try also, because I have already solved earlier, so I just skipped here. It will be half. So this one, variance in position also will be half, and variance in momentum also will be half. Okay, so that thing is clear. So that is the ground state, and I am talking about position and momentum, right? It is similar type. I am just trying to relate this quadrature, field quadrature, to momentum and position of a harmonic oscillator. That things. That's parabolic potential. Now, this is what I think earlier we have introduced one parameter called R. That is actually a squeezing parameter. You know, when we are talking about this thing, that here, this R is a squeezing parameter here. We have expressed here. I will be coming to this point later. So that is nothing but squeezing. That means you have two quadratures, x1 and x2. Only thing is that, you know, if you squeeze one, that squeezing comes at the cost of relaxing other quadrature, right? So how much factor you are squeezing, that actually measures that R value. Okay, so if you just represent that some kind of squeezing with use that type of squeezing factor as R, okay, something greater than 0, non-zero, then we can say that this is squeezed vacuum state. Normally, if R equal to 1, we can say that this is not squeezed, just a vacuum state, or just 0-point state in harmonic oscillator. Okay, suppose you are squeezing. Suppose how you are squeezing, you have a x distribution is there. If you squeeze, I just put a squeezing parameter, something like that. It was earlier, it was 1 over pi to the power 1 by 4. And what we did, we just multiplied square root of R here. When we multiplied square root of R here, at the same time, this squeezing parameter also multiplied with the position here also. Okay. Similarly, I can do, since I did something with the position function, I have to do also complementary action to your momentum function. What we did here, multiplication, I have to divide the amplitude by square root R. And here R is multiplied with X, and then I think this is a mistake. This would be P. This is a typo mistake. This would be P by R. So meaning is that, you know, this is a Gaussian distribution. You are just, whatever the R value you are multiplying, you know, this momentum and position, they are complementary. You know, they follow some uncertainty principle. So that uncertainty principle, if I just multiply R here, I have to factor P here. This you read as a P. P is relaxed like this. Okay. So if your wave function, this ground state, now you are somehow defining by X and P. This can be your quadrature, field quadrature, X1 and X2. But here, since we have a particular function distribution, I'm just trying to visualize with that way. Otherwise, that type of the circle, why that circle phase and number we have explained. But actual, when we will be considering photon as just only wave function and just how that will be varying, that number I will be using. So for that purpose, I'm just using just to visualize. So with this function, again, if I try to calculate delta x square and delta p square. Okay, that means the variance in delta x and variance is delta p. So this you see, earlier I calculated variance delta x square and delta p square, both were half. Now, if I just calculate variance again with this modification, what I get? Delta x equal to 1 by 2 r square and delta p square equal to r square by 2. That means the variance in measurement.
Sir, like,
Yes.
I have one doubt, sir. Like,
Yeah.
this has delta x square has to be r square by 2, I feel.
This one, after calculation.
Like, it has to be interchanged, delta x square and delta p square. Because r is up for the 5x.
This should be r, right? I'll check that one. I think I'll check that. I think r square, because this one also will come here, na?
Oh, okay.
Here r will be there. Not only amplitude. This also will involve.
Okay.
Integration. Your integration, this r is there. So I think we have to check. I think I have to just.
That's correct, sir. Actually,
Huh?
I think for Gaussian it is 1 by 2 root of 2 pi sigma is the variance, right, for Gaussian.
No, yeah, but r factor is there that I have to take care.
That is mean, like
Yeah.
x minus mu. So okay.
Exactly. So you can just solve and you can get. I think I've taken. I ensure you that this is correct because it has been taken from a paper. Just derive that in standard way. Otherwise, I have to derive again. So this is there. You are getting delta x square and delta p square. Meaning variance. For example, if r greater than 1, then delta x will be squeezed. Then half, right? Earlier it was half. Without squeezing, this was half. Now, if r is greater than 1, then you can say that the squeezed vacuum is position squeezed. So there in field quadrature, we used to call that x1 quadrature squeezed or delta x1, delta x2, that type of thing. And if r is less than, the state is momentum squeezed. So in another word, we just conclude that if we prepare multiple copies of squeezed vacuum like this for a given r and perform measurement of the squeezed observable on each copy, our measurement results will exhibit less variance than those measurements on the multiple copies of the vacuum state. So for example, if we are measuring position only in this particular case for r greater than 1, then multiple times that variance you will be getting, it is relatively lower than if it is not squeezed at all. Okay, so this is what the squeezed thing, r factor, whatever we have introduced there, that is how it is coming here, right? And this is a little bit picturized, I think, for in terms of momentum and phase, momentum and space phase diagram. So you see, this is called a Wegener function of certain single oscillator states. So this is called vacuum state. If you see, as I was saying, that if it is x, it is p, then you know it is spreaded half. This is also spreaded half. So it will be just a circle at the origin, right? And then b, if you see b is called coherent state. Coherent state, it is just measured in the position coordinate here. This here showing like a circle here. In that case, it is actually called coherent state, but it has some kind of x spreading as well as position spreading is there. Okay, and then this is actually your so-called C and D. If you just consider, then that is actually background state. It is position squeezed, and this is momentum squeezed. So in this direction they are squeezed, and this is actually again coherent state. So this is E and F here. C, D, and this will be EF. Position and momentum squeeze coherent states with real amplitude panels. B and F. Okay, so these are the squeezing, how it is shown for position and momentum. And one thing is that when you are squeezing, then you see position. That means whenever this inset, if you see this is inset you are taking, that is actually X direction. So X direction, and this is momentum direction. This is momentum direction is a little bit spreaded, and X direction it is actually squeezed. So it is other way around here. So this is just showing the profile how it is coming. Okay, so this is actually how the squeezed things are there. Now, I think today I stop here. Tomorrow I will discuss about how actually a squeezed light you can generate in actual device. What is the criteria? What particular things you should manipulate in your device so that you can get a squeezed light for single mode, as well as single mode means particularly for when degenerate daughter photons will be generated, that we will be calling, because those are the things we will be using for our applications. That's why, because there are many ways people demonstrate it, but we will be focusing the particular thing which are actually feasible in on-chip demonstration, and that can be useful for scaling up for integration. More number of integrations is possible. So I'll continue a couple of more class regarding that squeeze generation. Okay, I'll just stop here.
So in the previous slide,
Yeah.
I said that squeezing factor R is greater than 0. Is this right, or it is greater than 1? It should be greater than 1.
It's greater than 1.
Sir, that first point, number 5 point. The
Yeah.
squeezed vacuum state with squeezing factor R greater than 0. It should be greater than 1, right?
No, that is greater than 0. Positive number. That is actually we are considering as a positive number value.
Okay,
Here,
but
whenever we are plotting positive value.
But sir, R equal to 1 means no squeezing.
R equal to 1 means no squeezing.
Yes.
True.
So
Okay.
Sir.
So it is actually greater than 0, right? If it is exactly R equal to 1, then it is, I think, make no sense, right?
Yes.
True. That is true.
Yes.
Yeah. So R greater than 1, R less than 1. That is the two thing we have to consider. But it is a positive.
Yes.
So R equal to 1, we are not considering. Either R equal to greater than 1 or R equal to less than 1. That's true. The two different types of squeezing will be there. Momentum squeezing as well as phase squeezing. Okay. I'll stop here.